Hello, welcome to the second episode of C++. It's your favorite tutor for this one. That is Great Minds Tutorials. And in this episode, I'm going to be then breaking down the basic structure of I'm going to be breaking down the basic structure of C++ program. And the previous program, we were just writing a simple program which is just going to be displaying the programming is interesting onto the screen. So firstly, the first thing that you need to know is that in C++, you have what we call an include directive. So what is the purpose of the include directive? The include directive causes a control of another file to be inserted into your program. So you use it in order for you to include other stuff from other files. Um, from other files to be included into this program. So they call it a header file. So but you go into detail as we are going to object-oriented programming of C++. So now, but what I want us to look at, what we call your identifiers. So in C++, you have different types of identifiers. So what are identifiers? Your identifiers, those are names that are already predefined or used in C++ that you cannot use for your variable names and all of those kinds. So your first identifier is the word and. So remember, programming is a case sensitive. C++ is a case sensitive language. Whatever that you write, if it's capital letter, it needs to be capital letter. If it's small letter, it needs to be small letter. So the first identifier that you have is an and. The other identifier that you can have is a bool for boolean. You can have an int for an integer. You can have a string for a string data type, and you can have a long for a long number, and you can have a short for a short number. So those are your different types of identifiers. We literally can just give them another word and call them C++ keyword. So as your C++ keyword, those are predefined and they are reserved. So your namespace, using namespace, std, int, main, return, include, those are all your C++ keywords or your identifiers. So once I have introduced that, then I can then go and start introducing what we call our data types. So now your data type is that now you have different data types. So as you are working throughout programming, we always have numerical data types and non-numerical data types. So I would like to start with the numerical data type. So the first data type that we're having is what we call an integer data type. So the integer data type has been subdivided into different integer data types. You have a short, but the main one is that you can have an int here, and then you can give it a variable name. You can say that is a number. You can give it the number 20. So when you are having an int, it includes numbers from a negative, I think it's around about a negative 2 billion up until positive 2 billion. That is what an int is. So then there is a long, which is also including the same from the right around negative 2 billion to right around positive 2 billion. And then there is a short. A short includes from a negative 32,000 to a positive 32,000. So those are the different types of data types you need to think about whenever you're working on that. So now, so for us to output, remember we just say C out, and then we can write number, and we can end line, get here, compile, check if we compile without any errors. Since they're compiled without any errors, then we can run them. Then as you can see, we see the number 20. So that has been assigned to as an int. You can still assign this as a short, still applicable, because a short is from negative 35,000, right around, no, 32,000, a number right around 32,000, negative 32,000 to positive 32,000. That is the range that you're having. So this is still going to be able to work. If you compile this should be able to work without any issues. And when you run, still able to work. You can still assign it as a long, But now when you start saying that this is a short, and then you start assigning a number like 50,000, then you might start experiencing problems. Why? Because as I've said, that a short can only be a number from so you see, as I'm doing that, it's giving me totally opposite of what I put in. It gives me a number negative 155536. That is because I went out of the range of short numbers. And I need to make sure that every time whenever I write that, it's properly done. But I think the reason why it's doing that is because of it's storing a garbage inside there. But we'll deal with that a little bit later on whenever we are going through with C++. So now the other data type that I will want us to look at, which is a numeric, since I've expanded on an integer, I would like us to look at a double. So a double and a float. So you have your double. So your double is just your decimal numbers. You can have your price. Maybe let's say a price to a product is 80 rand and 50 cents. So if I were to say C out, and then I was to say price, and let me just go back, save, execute, compile, check if we do not have any errors. When we run it, as you can see, 80.50, we are getting it as that. So meaning that we are able to do that. But one thing I think about a float, which is similar to Java, is that if you were to write it like this, compile. Okay, in this case, it's still able to work. But if we were in a Java programming language, this was not gonna be able to work. It will like us to write this in a full number, but it's the one that is going to convert it for us implicitly. So those are your two data types, other two data types which are numeric. And for the non-numeric, you are having your character, which is your char data type. And then for your char data type, what you can do is that now those are just your characters. Let's say charm, initial. Let's put my initial. So for a character, you put a single quotation. My initial is K, because my name is Hodiso. And as I compile this, wait for it to fully compile. All right, then I'm gonna have an error. Why? Yes, this is just because I do not have a price declared. Let's say in here. Okay, save. Let's compile. There we go. Let's run. As you can see, we're able to display the letter, which is K, which is my letter K, which is my initial. Sorry about that. I was just distracted by something. But now, okay, so that is how you actually get to declare your variables. And then now I'm gonna try and do something which it involves your ASCII values. So I'm gonna try and say letter. Then now, but in this case, I'm gonna say letter is in 65. And let's see if you want to display this, if it's gonna display a 65 or it's going to display the equivalent to that ASCII value. Let's say run, and there we go. The equivalence of that ASCII value is the alphabet A. And as you can see here, I've just said char, and I say letter. I assign it to the ASCII value. So if I know the equivalent ASCII value of that letter, then I'm then going to write the ASCII value and it's going to display the letter which is equivalent to that ASCII value. And the last one is just your string. So your string, that is where you're going to start in your word. So I'm going to say string name, double quotation. Let's make it my full name, which is Kodiso. Compiled. Okay, name, save, compiled, executed without an error, run this. As you can see, we're able to display the name, which is Kodiso. So on the next episode, then we're going to then start creating interactive programming, whereby we're going to bring in the concept of inputs from the user, and then we're going to display those inputs. That is it from me. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.